This video is for the sensitive souls out there, the empaths, the ones who feel everything, the sponges, the lie detectors, the people who feel like they don't belong in this crazy world. Your sensitivity can produce a lot of challenges, and I relate. I grew up with chronic anxiety. Eventually, that chronic anxiety led me to drug addiction, which brought about more anxiety, more suffering, low lows that I would not wish on my worst nightmare. And it all became as a result of me having no idea that it's possible to have such a hypersensitive nervous system, and that it is something that requires awareness, requires getting the hang of. But eventually I did, and many of you probably have as well. And what I learned is that the same sensitivity that for a long time brought me nothing but suffering carries with it also, once discovered, practiced, and sort of honed, many other what I call superpowers. There are things that you can do with your sensitivity that can really benefit you, even in this life. A healed, self-aware empath is virtually unstoppable on this planet. Even though right now you might be thinking the exact opposite. I can't keep up with what I see going on. I can't participate in that. I beg to differ. I believe you can, and I believe you know you should and are meant to. And I also have learned through experience, just myself and coaching many, that you can do it and you can thrive. So this video, my friend, is about the superpowers that can stem from that hypersensitivity. And the sixth one in particular comes much later in the empath's journey, but that is the game changer. That is where things really start to shift and turn around for you. So welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Victor Oddo. It's a pleasure to have you here, and I'll see you inside the video. The first superpower isn't really, unfortunately, about you. There are many, I promise you. This one's more about other people. And it's this: people feel safe, seen, and heard around you in your presence. Even if you're feeling uncomfortable, even if you're contending with their emotional state and how it's infiltrating your psyche, and there's all this stuff going on your end, regardless, they are there and they're loving it. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me you don't have people that you hardly know just talking openly to you. It happens to me all the time. People literally just start like talking. I'm such a quiet guy in real life, believe it or not. I don't really talk much. I'm very, very quiet. It's kind of funny. I do YouTube, but I'll just be sitting there. People are just like, yeah, they're going off in these very, very like intimate, honest, open shares, sometimes one after the other, like stream of consciousness style. And I bet you get that too. You might be wondering, well, why is that? Well, it's because people, they don't know why exactly. All they know is they feel safe around you. They can feel your heart, I think, honestly, is what it is. I think they can feel you mean well. They can sense you're genuine. And there's something very refreshing and just wonderful about that. It's kind of like a sight for sore eyes type of thing that you are energetically. And you have that effect on people. Another thing is, you do the right thing even when it's difficult. This is an extremely, and if you don't, it's going to eat at you, and you know that. This is something so, unfortunately, at least in my life here, rare. I meet a lot of people, a lot of good people, and you get to know people enough and you see that when it comes down to it, and there's like this test of their conscience, most people will end up choosing themselves. And the reason is because people's minds are so good at justifying pretty much anything. But you like can't really do that to yourself, can you? You don't even probably know how to lie to yourself. You just know better. And you also may have learned, not to say you're a saint. I'm no saint. I've done many things I'm not proud of, but I have learned from that it feels really, really horrible when I work against my conscience. And sometimes I'm presented with situations, as I'm sure you are as well, that are very difficult to do, very uncomfortable to do. But if I know it's the right move, I will do it. And so will you. Doing the right thing, especially when you could very easily like make a case for not doing it and you do it anyways, that is a superpower, my friend. That is why when you see people doing that in like movies, it touches something, it strikes something in you. It strikes something in everybody. It's an amazing example to be putting out there. Even sometimes, even when you're the only one who knows you did it. It doesn't matter. That is exactly what this world needs right now. More of that. More of those types of deeds. And you have that going for you in spades. More practically speaking now, you are a human lie detector. You can tell without even knowing how you know, but you know when someone's being even slightly dishonest. When someone's words and their verbiage and even their mannerisms is not a match for the energy underneath. You can sense that disconnection. Their body is doing this. Their words are saying this, but why am I feeling something different? It's because they're lying, because there's a disconnect. This also works in your favor too. It means you're a good judge of character. It means you don't judge a book by its cover, but you do have access to what's in the book based on just the cover, basically. And it allows you to just be mindful of the people who you get close with, the people you bring into your life, the people you choose to put your trust in, the people you associate with or choose not to associate with. And sometimes it's interesting because the people who do align with you, you might not even think they would align with you. Some of the greatest friends and relationships I've had throughout my life came in the form of just, people, if I would have just seen them like on the street, I would have probably never even thought for a second we'd be friends. I've had people, 20, 30 years older than me that just really, really dear, like soul family type of relationships with me. I've had that with kids, like younger people as well. There's this ability to kind of recognize the soul essence and its relationship with you, perhaps even beyond this lifetime. So this human lie detector, it goes a lot deeper than what I was saying. It's an ability to read people's souls. And if you listen to it, which that's the challenge, you probably don't always listen to it, do you? I've made that mistake as well. It always bites me in the butt, right? But if you do choose to listen to it, which I've gotten a lot better at over the years, I can honestly say, it allows for a lot more harmonious, aligned people to walk through life with. Another power you have is to know whether a situation, an opportunity, a circumstance is a right fit for you or not. And you've also probably learned if it's not a right fit for you, no matter what it looks like on paper, it will in the end not be ideal. It'll be usually more problems than good will come from something that's aligned, no matter how much you'd like to believe only what you see on the paper. This is great. This is great for, I remember a long time ago, we were house hunting, my wife and I. And we had 3 houses we were going to look at, and this was in Michigan. I've told many stories about this, so if you've heard my house hunting stories, there's actually been a few. This is going to be perhaps a new one. This is when we bought a house in Royal Oak. We just had our second baby, and we were looking to get a house. And there were 3 on our list that we were going to go see with a realtor. The third one we didn't even want to see, but a realtor kind of insisted. The first 2 we were excited about. The night before, I remember we were on our phones looking at Trulia, thinking wow, this is super cool. It clicks all the boxes. It's got the look, it's got the style, it's got the location, all this stuff. And both, once we rolled up to it, it was like the first house, I knew from the moment I stepped out of the car, it wasn't for us, but I didn't want to believe it. So I still tried to make myself like it. I couldn't do it. I realized this is not it. The second house, I knew. I said, okay. And I was immediately kind of checked out for the day because I had no idea. I didn't think the third one was even an option because it wasn't appealing to me like visually. It didn't look like a house I saw myself in. It didn't have the style I liked at all. But nonetheless, our realtors, we chose to do it. That was like our agreement, And I remember me and my wife, we pulled up on the street and in the neighborhood before even getting to the house. And we were sitting actually, ironically, in front of this other house, which was actually way worse, like way less ideal, smaller than the one we were about to see. But just us coming into the neighborhood, it felt like such a contrast. Both houses hit all the boxes. It was great on paper, but the energy, the alignment was just off. It just felt like a hard no in our nervous system. This other one, we weren't even in front of the right house, but just because we were in proximity to the freaking house, we were like, wow. It was like almost as if like it was cloudy all day, and then right when we got onto the street, the sun peeked its head out, and all of a sudden everything kind of comes to life, and it was amazing. And then our realtor said, no, wrong house, ding dong, it's down the street. And then we rolled up to that, and funny enough, the contrast between what we were about to see and what we were sitting was actually awesome. And I just will never forget how it felt walking through that house. It was like, yes, 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 look at that, wow. It just had this inviting, loving, honestly, this loving, peaceful energy to it. It was a hard yes on all levels. We got the house and we lived there until it was time to move. And we were very happy. It was beautiful. Thank goodness I was able to look beneath the surface. And you do that too. You probably have your own story just like that. And that is awesome. Because I think a lot of people, they make choices purely on their intellect. And things are not always as they seem. Things are not always as you think they are either. Your mind is very unreliable at times. But your ability to feel the resonance or lack thereof is priceless. Another thing is you're open to divine guidance. What I spoke about before is kind of like I don't know what it is honestly, but there is something beyond that even. A genuine divine guidance. A tangible connection to the vast non-physical realities that are all around us that seem to be much higher in frequency, and where the angels and the archangels and the spirit guides and our deceased loved ones and everybody kind of exists. You are sometimes open to that type of guidance. This type of guidance can sometimes save your life. This type of guidance can sometimes really help you avoid something really painful. It can help nudge you in the right direction where you may have ordinarily dismissed it. And this divine guidance, the more you allow yourself to believe what you already know to be true, and most importantly, the more you have the courage to trust it, the better your life will get. Not everybody has the ability to literally ask for, everyone does have the ability to ask for help, I believe, but not everybody has the ability to actually realistically receive it. Empathic people, even with your challenges, your problems, your ego, there's a softness to you. There's an ability to kind of step outside of this identification with your ego self. And it's from here where you can receive these messages of guidance. And this final one I kept for last on purpose because it does always come later. It's something that requires growth, it requires challenges overcome time and time again, and the wisdom that comes only from that. Something you cannot get in a book, you cannot get it in a YouTube video, you only get it from the trenches, through living life for a while. And that is discernment. To know that everything I said has its opposite. That there is no playbook for life. There is no playbook certainly for your life. My martial arts instructor will sometimes say, there's a few things he'll say. I'm going to say them all because they're all really good. He says, never say never, and never say always. He'll also say sometimes the wrong thing at the right time is the right thing. Sometimes the right thing at the wrong time is the wrong thing. And this discernment is the ability basically to trust yourself, to know when to kind of draw the line. We sometimes go through life and we form these like rules. When action A happens, I respond this way, and it results in a favorable outcome. And that may have proved itself valid up until now. And this discernment allows you to know that, that does not feel like the right move in this particular case. I remember going back into my spiritual journey for the longest time, for many years, it seemed as if my life was shown to me through synchronicity and guidance what the best move to make was, whatever was going on. I knew if I waited, I'd receive something. I've learned that if I don't know the answer, it's best not to do anything and to wait rather than force something. This was a very reliable way of going through life for about 6 or 7 years, I would say, after my big awakening back in like 2010. But then this got to this point where I was applying this. My life was certainly in need of some change. It needed to kind of turn the corner, if you will. And I was practicing what I've always done. I was waiting. Like the castle was crumbling. And instead of doing something about it, I let it crumble. And it continued to crumble. And I continued to wait. And I grew very restless and impatient. Started getting frustrated. Why is there no guidance? I know maybe I'm being tested. Yes, that's it. My faith is being tested. Another pillar crashes right before me. And eventually, I realized I was not using discernment at all. That this situation was calling for something different. It was calling for me to rise up and to know my power and to get my hands dirty, to get out there and pick up the pieces and change my life. And work very hard. That is when I built up my business. And it was not a graceful experience. There was elements of guidance, but a lot of it was knowing my power and taking my life into my own hands and taking lots and lots of action and making lots and lots of mistakes and just refusing to quit. That's another rule I had to break. A lot of times people, they run into resistance. They feel like, well, maybe this isn't the right path. Maybe this is not right for me. What I learned is that's not always the case. There's life resistance that can sometimes be exactly that. And sometimes we have the power to fabricate almost our own resistance manifested in physical form that seems and looks and smells and tastes and just like that other kind of resistance, but actually it's not. Actually, it's our own resistance disguised as an arrow pointing to go back. So that's another part of my discernment. I started questioning these blocks. So many people, they let these blocks sort of back them into a little corner and they feel powerless. Well, a lot of these blocks are your blocks. That's what I learned anyway. And I learned a lot of these blocks aren't as blocky as I thought. A lot of times that resistance actually is what I found is comes right before the big breakthrough. And it can be in a little situation or a big situation. I remember, this wasn't even that long ago. I was wanting to quit playing guitar. I've been playing guitar for about 18 months and practice about an hour a day, have a teacher and everything. And I remember I was so wanting to quit. I felt like I was practicing and practicing, and I went through like a phase, maybe a few week period where I felt like I was just getting worse. And I just, my passion was gone. I felt like just frustrated. I was getting worse. It felt so forced to keep playing guitar. But anyway, I had this session with my teacher scheduled on the calendar, so I wasn't gonna just not show up, even though I didn't want to show up. And in some crazy way, when he asked me to play this song that I've been practicing all month, not very successfully, when I happened to play for him, even though normally when I play for him, I play like way worse because I feel like I'm on the spot. But this time in particular, I nailed it. It was almost like Jimi Hendrix was channeling through me and I was just rocking out. And I literally like took this leap in my guitar ability on that very day. But what preceded it was a lot of resistance. A lot of resistance. I would have in the past said, well, maybe God doesn't want me to play guitar anymore. Discernment. Sometimes it is that, not always. Sometimes you see that in other people and it's a sign to avoid them. Sometimes it's a sign to have more compassion and maybe look in the mirror. Sometimes it's a sign this is not right for you. Sometimes it's a sign you just need to push a little further and have a little bit more patience. No one can tell you though. No one can tell you when to do what. This superpower of discernment requires taking the playbook that you've spent your whole life creating and throwing it out because you don't need it any longer. Because you have the ability in each and every moment to discern what is optimal for you. And you can use everything, your intuition, your feelings, your past, logic, and all together as one thing, you can make grounded, wise choices because of this discernment. And a lot of people I find they get to this point where they have it, but they don't know it yet and they don't use it. And they continue looking outside of themselves for answers. And they wonder why does nothing feel right? Or sometimes an answer outside of you will feel right, but it won't be right. And you feel lost, you feel frustrated. Really, it's almost like you got this idea in your head that you can't walk. And there comes a day when you can walk, but you're still trying to like roll around the floor, crawling around, and you're annoyed about that, but all you have to do is stand up and walk. It's that easy. This discernment is available to you. If you're watching this video, you got it. There's nothing I can give you. There's nothing anybody can give you that you don't already have. It's the wisdom that you've earned through this long life of ups and downs and struggles. Now imagine going through the rest of your life applying this discernment, this God-given self-awareness and power with all the other amazing attributes. You will be grateful every day to be an empath because empath means aware. You are aware that you can evolve yourself on a human level. You are aware that there's more to reality than meets the eye. You are aware of your ability to feel into it and navigate your life in a very different and accurate and holistic sort of way. Thank you for watching. Have an amazing day. Peace.